Hey there, I hope you're doing well. I'm Shawna, your counseling astrologer, and this is your weekly astrology forecast for August 22nd through the 28th. And this week is really about finding yourself, connecting with yourself and your own unique inner authority and even your inner assertiveness. So we have a lot of different things that are happening this week, and I'm excited to share the astrology of this week with you. And then I'll have 3 tips for you to make the most out of this week. So first thing that's happening that's really cool is we'll have Mercury making a trine to Pluto. So this is a very helpful transit. Mercury is our communication, it's our mind, our analytical thinking. And Pluto is about really seeing like this X-ray vision into the heart of a matter. Pluto is related to research and depth investigation. It's related to that which is hidden. And so for this reason, Pluto can really help us get into a situation or issues where maybe there was information that or even thought processes, Mercury, that you weren't aware of. And because it's in a trine, which is a helpful aspect, this means that it brings the best qualities of Pluto to Mercury. It would be a little more challenging if it were a different aspect, but that's for another week. The other piece of this is that shortly after that, Mercury is moving into the sign of Libra. So from Virgo into Libra. So this is also really nice too, because it's it's the symbol of the mediator and looking at all sides of an issue. And so with this energy, this is going to allow you to really balance out and to look at different scenarios and to judge what is best for you. Highly increased perception and even a potential for healing thought patterns, like unconscious thought patterns. Yes, so the other thing that's happening this week is we'll have the sun also changing signs, moving into Virgo. And so the sun is making this change from Leo to Virgo, where there is a spotlight, a focus more on Virgo, which is about processes, ritual, healing, and looking at the detail of things. Virgo is also really about processing and digesting information, and the process, Virgo is very much about process. It's about this process of pulling things apart and looking at all of the pieces and then putting it back together again and getting to know something very deeply. A part of this is that the sun, after it makes this change into Virgo, will also square Mars. And if you remember from last week, Mars is recently moved into Gemini. So this is a bit of a tougher transit because Mars and the sun are a combination that can be kind of like feisty, even aggravated. It can be fantastic for any kind of self-assertive or expressing yourself in a way where you need to be a leader or to take up space. But because this is a square, it's telling me that there's a little bit of a challenge here, maybe a challenge with asserting yourself or a challenge with being the authority or the leader in a situation. And again, I'll have more information on the tips for you on how to work with this, but I just want you to know that this is kind of like a tough piece here around asserting yourself, knowing yourself, and taking up space, especially in a leadership or authority role, which is the sun. Also mingled in this aspect is we're having a new moon in Virgo. So this new moon is happening. New moon is about new beginnings, and it's about planting seeds, like the little beginnings of something that will continue to grow and elaborate the next month and then also the next 6 months until we have a full moon in Virgo. So this particular new moon is happening at 4 degrees of Virgo. It's happening Saturday, August 27th. It's exact at 1:17 a.m. Pacific time, which is 4:17 a.m. Eastern time, and 6:17 p.m. Australian Eastern time, all on Saturday the 27th. So this is a really fantastic new moon for healing, for initiating new rituals, for beginning anything new. We always like to start, or even to like envision a new thing that you want to start to put into place over the next 2 weeks. Fantastic for that, but especially around Virgo themes of healing, self-acceptance, and any work around discernment and sort of like analytical kind of issues as well. Now, the last aspect that's also very important is involving Venus. So Venus is about our relationships, our connections, our intimacy, and also our feelings of peace and joy, and just from enjoying life. So Venus is making a square to Uranus and then an opposition to Saturn. And these are both a little tough, and they're both sort of like different kinds of energies. So sometimes this happens, right, where we're pulled in one direction by one particular transit and then another direction. And this means that that we kind of have to figure out how to work with the different energies, and they're all present at the same time but in different ways. And this is going to show up differently for you depending on your personal birth chart, how that's interacting with the transits, and also just your life circumstances right now. So Venus square Uranus is about really wanting to reinvent and innovate and to bring new energy and life to relationships. It's very much about differentiation and autonomy, whereas Venus opposite Saturn is about working through commitments, devotions, and the structure, the boundaries of relationship. So this to me shows that maybe there's a revisioning or a reviewing, or even just kind of like a change in feeling or a change in consideration around the structure of relationships. So this can be, what your values, Venus, values and needs are in relationship. That's very Venus-Saturn. It can be looking at how you feel about your level of dedication and devotion, and just the emotional energy that you put into your relationships. And this can be romantic, platonic, business partners, all manner of relationships when we're talking about Venus. So it's really about where is your sense of autonomy and freedom to do and to be the way that is most authentic to you. And then what are your responsibilities? What are the either discussed or silent rules and structures and boundaries and agreements that you've made to be in relationship? And sort of like, different feeling out of those. So as promised, I have 3 tips for you to really work with this energy. Tip number 1 is to identify your authentic thoughts and feelings. And so this is super important because we have that Mercury Pluto that's going to help you really hone in on the heart of an issue. And I want to make sure that you are honing in on your thoughts and feelings, and not getting distracted by attuning to what maybe someone else or what your cultural context wants. It's super important to be connected to what is true for you this week. Tip number 2 is to be mindful and assertive. So this is working with that Sun-Mars energy, where I think it can be really easy to sort of react or respond very quickly off the cuff, and maybe that's appropriate. Maybe that's really good for you because maybe you hold back, so this is going to be good for you. But I think too, when we have a square of Mars and the Sun, it can be where sometimes maybe we react and then it's like, oh shoot, like I wish I would have said that in a way that was a bit more kind or gentle or even just nuanced. So I would set that intention to be mindful as well as assertive. And then tip number 3 is to move toward balancing your autonomy versus your responsibilities. So I'm using the word balancing, ing at the end, very intentionally because this is kind of like a moving dance. Balance is not a static state. If you've ever tried to do a sport that involves any kind of balance, you know that there's like these kind of constant micro adjustments that we need to make in order to keep our equilibrium. And so this is really working with that Venus, Uranus, Saturn energy, where it's like you're benefited by taking, like checking in every day or every hour, how you feel and what feels good to you. And so again, setting that intention of moving toward balancing one micro adjustment at a time. Yeah, so that's it for this week. I will be sending out an email on my newsletter with more detailed information on this particular new moon in Virgo. So please make sure that you're subscribed to my newsletter if you want to receive that. I appreciate you, and I'm sending you lots of love and wishing you a wonderful week. Bye for now.